Welcome to Future Ready Students, a podcast that goes beyond textbooks and tests. In this space, we bring you real conversations with visionary educators, school leaders, and change makers who are reimagining what it means to truly prepare students for life. Because the future belongs to those who are not just well informed, but well equipped. So, if you're a parent, teacher, or student ready to think differently, you're in the right place.
Hello and welcome to JM CareerApt. This is Nitya Natarajan. Our guest for today is an education leader and an experienced school principal, Mr. Subham Bhakat. With extensive leadership experience across schools in India, he has worked with CBSE, ICSE, and several state board curricula. Known for his expertise in educational technology and pedagogy, he specializes in CBSE affiliation, cost optimization, and talent acquisition. A warm welcome to you, sir. We are very happy to be hosting you today.
Ma'am, thank you so much for this opportunity.
And welcome to the podcast series, Future Ready Students, Insights from Education Leaders. To commence with, can you please share with us a bit about your journey in education and what drives your passion for student development?
Actually, if I have to just tell about myself, uh, firstly, I would say one thing that this profession of this teaching profession, most of them, like we are not sure that we will be coming into this profession or not. Some of them come to this profession out of choice. Some of them come by chance. So I'm one of them. So who has chosen this profession out of choice. When I was in grade 5, I thought that yes, I will be a teacher and specifically be an English teacher. And
Grade 5, and that's phenomenal.
so it was my mother who was always into academics, and she is like someone who is like bookaholic, I would say. So she keeps on reading books. So from that, maybe I got that from her. So
Okay.
after that, I thought, ki, let me continue with this, and like I am still like I keep on reading a lot of books. So then I thought, ki, let me be a teacher. So I joined as a school teacher. Later on, moved up in this ladder, and now working as a school principal. Because my journey in education began with a simple but powerful belief that like every child deserves an environment where they feel safe, valued, and inspired to grow. And like over the years, working with the students from diverse backgrounds has deepened my commitment to student-centered education. So what drives me is seeing students develop not just academically, but also emotionally and socially. Like helping children discover their strengths and purpose is what fuels my passion every single day. So whenever like I think like I am always engaged into teacher training programs. So I believe that emotional intelligence is one of the most important things that we should learn as educators.
I agree, sir. Totally. Emotional intelligence, emotional quotient is like better than IQ. That's what most of the multinational companies are looking at. More than IQ, it is the EQ that they're looking at.
Right,
Right.
right.
So, sir, in my experience as a career coach, on a day-to-day basis, I talk to a lot of students, and most of them are facing a lot of struggles in choosing their career paths, whether it is stream selection after class 10 or career pathways after class 12. They're facing a lot of challenges. So from your perspective, what are some of the common challenges that students face when they make these career choices?
Um, what I would say is students today are like overwhelmed with choices, expectations, and peer
Correct.
pressure. And one of the biggest struggle is that of a lack of self-awareness and career exposure. And many of the students choose paths based on trends and like
Mhm.
parental influence rather than personal interest or aptitude. The absence
Correct.
of structured career counseling in many schools also
Mhm.
adds to this confusion. So I think that schools which are thinking of like who wants to be a future ready school, we should
Mhm.
think from the perspective of that of a parent and also that of a student. and we have to think about the career options which are available, not like that we have to like push the students only towards engineering or medical. There are a lot of other career options available, so we have to train the students and make them aware of the other options which are available. I think this is one of the struggles, like the students are facing this a lot these days.
Correct, sir. Like I'm writing a book right now. It's
Okay,
called Unfollow the Crowd. You
that's
know,
great. That's great.
how do you think parents can better support their children in making these career decisions? Because these are like really important decisions that a child has to make. And because, like you said, with the overwhelming options that they have and the trends, that everybody is following the one side, it's a very tough decision for them. So how do you think parents can support their children in a much better way?
Actually, you see, ma'am, if we just take this as a like a triangle with parents, teachers, and the students. So
Correct.
in this particular triangle, I think parents like they play a very important role, and parents must transition from being decision makers to facilitators, right? So listening without judgment, encouraging exploration, and trusting their child's abilities are the key. And I believe that schools and parents should collaborate through career workshops, one-on-one sessions, and open dialogue to ensure the child's voice is at the center. When we are talking about child-centric education, where NEP clearly states that we need to focus more on child-centric education, we should
Mm.
bring the child at the center. Whatever we are doing in the schools, the child should be the topmost priority in the school. The child should
Right.
get the top priority in the school. So as parents, we have to not compare our kids with Sarmaji ka beta. We have to make sure that my child what is the passion of my child. Is my child really interested in going for JE or NEET, or
Right.
the passion lies somewhere else? So we have to decide and guide the students, not force them. Like most of the time what we as parents like we do is we try to fulfill our own dreams through them. So we have to make sure that we are not doing this. We give them a clear pathway and let them decide that what they want to do.
Right, right. So parents have to, like you said, facilitate the career decisions, not make the career decisions for the students. This
Right.
is true, especially with non-resident Indian parents. Child is in UAE or in the Gulf countries, and they have entirely different kind of like career options that they want to try and explore. But then most of the parents are still like the old school, traditional, and what about NEET, what about civil services, or what about JEE? Because engineering like gives them all the skills and all that. Okay, so definitely there's a lot of communication gap between parents and teacher and students. So parents should support them in provide opportunities for exploration and all that, and let them decide which will be the right one.
Definitely, definitely,
Right.
definitely,
The problem arises also because the job market is changing.
definitely,
You know,
definitely.
it's rapidly changing, and already students are worried about like, will AI take up my job in the future? How do I make my job AI proof and all that? So,
Yeah.
in your perspective, what do you think are the essential skills that a student must develop in order to thrive in this kind of a fast changing world?
Okay. So actually, ma'am, as you rightly said, that the entire ecosystem will change by 2030 or by 2050, for instance, the entire job market will change. So when we are thinking it from the school's perspective, we have to make sure that the schools are future ready, and we have to make sure that beyond academic knowledge, the student needs a lot of other knowledge apart from this. They need to
Mm.
have the critical thinking and problem solving skills. They need to understand about the digital literacy. They need to understand about the emotional intelligence, and also collaboration and communication. And we have to make sure that the students are understanding regarding adaptability and resilience. So we have to prepare the kids as per this needs. So if we are like, we cannot prepare them just for jobs but for life, isn't it? But what
Right.
we are doing, the schools now, like the schools, we are always trying to uh, develop such skills which will make them employable. They will just get jobs. We are not making them aware that like you can be one of the employer, not the employee. So we are not changing or shifting this entire mindset in the students.
Agreed entirely. So whenever I conduct webinars or sessions for students, I make sure I include resilience, adaptability, and leadership mindset. So develop this leadership mindset and don't try to like depend and go search for jobs. Like you create jobs, right? Work on your own. Find
Right.
financial freedom, okay, time freedom. So you don't have to like, depend on others for career or something. You create yours, design your life. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So,
That's
because you are a strong believer of holistic development of children, like you mentioned, apart from academic excellence, you want to, you want them to develop emotional skills. You want them to develop skills for life. Okay, so how does your school help or support these children in building these career and life skills?
Ma'am, if we talk about our school integrates life skills into curriculum through
Mhm.
activity-based learning, like leadership programs, internships, and community service. And apart
Okay.
from that, career guidance sessions are held regularly in our school. And we
Okay.
also emphasize mental health, values education, and student voice. So children grow into a well-rounded individual. So it's not that they are in an island and they don't understand the skill set which is essential for them to grow in their life. So we have
Mhm.
to make sure that we make them future ready. For that,
Correct.
activity-based learning is very much important. And leadership programs, we run a lot of leadership programs in our school where we give the baton to the students. They prepare the role, how we will be doing the things and how we will be planning the things. So we
Mhm.
give them the free hand, let them decide, let them do. It is not it will the teacher's role is no longer that they come to the class and give lectures. They are nowadays facilitators. As facilitators, we are there to guide them. So they will do it, but we are there only to guide them. So I believe that this is a very important we should teach in our school.
Great, great. Okay, that's a wonderful thing to do, sir. Like, because you have the awareness of the holistic development and you make sure you put it into action. So naturally, all the teachers, all your staff members will definitely like follow your path. Okay, so that's an efficient way to lead a school. So you have extensive experience in as a founding principal, and you also guide schools through the affiliation process. So tell us, do the education boards in India, do they stress on setting up a career guidance ecosystem like you were explaining, okay, in schools? Do they make it like, do they say it's compulsory, it's mandatory to have a career guidance ecosystem in schools?
Um, Ma'am, if I have to talk about the schools in India, like most of the schools are not future ready and they are not like making it mandatory that there should be a career guidance as ecosystem in the school. But
Mhm.
yes, CBSE increasingly emphasized the importance of career guidance,
Yeah.
especially under NEP 2020.
Yeah.
And our school has structured career guidance program, including like aptitude tests, expert talks, alumni interactions, and
Mhm.
counseling. So such
Okay.
systems are essential because career readiness begins in school, not in colleges. So
Right.
we have to make sure that we are doing it. But as you know, we have around 30,000 CBSE schools, and
Mhm.
like all of the schools are not there in tier one cities. So they are not getting the exposure, and they are
Mhm.
it's not the same way. You see, like if we have to talk about different areas, like if we talk about the geographical differences, so some of the places
Mhm.
there the requirement is that the you will prepare the kids for UPSC, and there are places where the parents want their kids to go for IIT, JEE, and NEET. So these are different perspective of parents from different geographical location, and there
Mhm.
are parents who want their kids to be very good with their communication skills and writing skills because they want their kids to just crack IELTS and go abroad. So we have to make sure that we have a proper path and make it student friendly, so that the students will have the autonomy to decide what they are going to do.
Okay, so you were talking about the geographical, isolation, and it's not available to everyone in tier 2 or tier 3 cities, even in rural areas. Okay, they don't even know what career guidance means, right? And
Right.
as a career coach, like I readily offer career guidance through online sessions for rural students, any ambitious students who are in the rural areas, and I approach even the schools in rural areas, saying that I'm ready to give offer a free career guidance session. But the problem is, like many school leaders, they think that either the reasons that they come up with is either the students are busy with their exams, or with the preparing for the board exams, or revision exams is going on, so they don't have time, or they say an online session is not going to be as effective as an offline session, which I agree. But then, don't you think that having an online career guidance is at least like better than not having any career guidance?
uh, Ma'am, you see, if we are like I appreciate that you have asked this question, and there are a lot of leaders who are not completely supporting online system of education. But as per as the like recommendation of NEP 2020, and I believe that, you see, when we were going through that phase, pandemic phase, so there was no other options other than going for an online mode of study, right? Online
Mm,
mode of education was the only option that was available, isn't
correct.
it? So if you are thinking about a school there in rural part of India, and there is no access to career guidance, you see, like if you have to get a career counselor who is expert in this field, you need to spend a lot of money. You need to get
Correct.
that person on board, you need to spend for the flight tickets XYZ, and that person, maybe a lot of guidance counselors will not be ready to come to your school. So if you are
Correct.
getting it online, and that too, like if someone is offering for free, or someone
Free.
is charging a minimum amount of fees and giving it to you, I believe that you can definitely go for it. And I think it is not that online sessions will not be effective, isn't it? You see, we are doing this podcast, and it will reach a lot of audience, and maybe they learn something from this. So it's
Yeah.
something which we are doing it online. So it's not
Right.
that like we have nowadays. You see, IITs, IIMs, they are also like giving offering certain courses which are online. So
Correct.
they are giving equal value and weightage to it. So we have to make sure that the learning happens. We are using technology as a medium. That's it.
Correct. Correct. And this excuse also about, like, they still feel, most of the school leaders, they still feel that marks and preparing for the board exams is more important than career guidance.
Uh, Ma'am, like but what usually happens, whenever you have seen that I am always outspoken, I tell what is truth. So I believe, you see, as school leaders, we are always into this competition, that how many 90% coming from my school and how many from XYZ computer school. We are
Right.
always busy in this fight. So we have to make sure that we give the priority to the students, and we think about the students, and think from the perspective of the student centric approach. If we are doing
Correct.
it in this way, we can get time, isn't it? We can definitely get some time, and we can do it for the students and get the parent involved, make them understand the importance of it, because maybe today you are not realizing how essential it will be. Like maybe after 10 or 12 years, or maybe after 20 years, when that kid comes to you and tells that because of your guidance my life has completely changed. So
Change.
this is what can happen. So we have
Yeah.
to think about the future.
Especially school leaders, school principals like you, they need to, like, understand this is a very, very important part, and they have to make sure that at least whatever little guidance that is available to them, they have to, like, use it for their well-being of the students. Right.
Right.
So you were talking about your school having a structured career guidance program. Okay, like
Mhm.
internships, and you give them. Do you conduct any kind of, like, psychometric assessments to test
Yes,
their
yes,
intelligence
yes.
and all that? Oh,
Psychometric assessments. Huh? Like we are doing it on a regular basis, and we do one thing is like we send the kids to different maybe local shops, to local
mhm.
factories. to
Mhm.
understand that how this entire ecosystem works, and they get to know the real life, they get the connect, and they try to understand that whatever is happening, and so that they can implement them and use them in their own life. So practical exposure is something which is very important.
Right, right. That's great. That's great, sir. So this podcast is all about future ready students. Uh,
Yes.
so, uh, what do you think is one change that schools can make sure that their students are future ready?
If you ask my perspective, I would mandate that experiential and skill based learning from early grades will help a lot. It will help in solving a lot of real life problems, and like we can go for internships, coding,
Mhm.
financial literacy, and design thinking. So this helps students see the relevance of what they learn and prepare them for the future challenges. So I think that future financial literacy is a very important thing, and we should make sure that the students are aware of this, because nowadays a lot of people are not understanding the importance of financial literacy. So if we would have got that opportunity to learn that when we were students, things would have been something different when we are just implementing that in our own life. So if we are doing this, I think this will be a game changer in this entire ecosystem.
Great, great. Okay, completely agree with you, sir. Okay, so the last question for you today, for all the students who are confused about their careers because of the overwhelming career choices that they have and the trends and the peer influence, like you said. Okay, what is one piece of advice you would give them?
At times it's okay to be unsure, and we can use our time to explore uh, their own interests. So, and like they can try for internships, and they can talk to professionals, and they can take psychometric tests.
Mhm.
And most importantly, I believe that don't rush, because
Right.
career is a journey, it's not a race. And what matters is being curious, open to learning, and true to oneself. So if we have to make sure that the kid the kid follows his or her passion. So if they are
Right.
not following the passion, like they can earn X amount of money, but they will not be happy.
Right.
So that is why we have to make sure that they choose on the basis of their own understanding, not on the basis of peer pressure, that someone is coming and like giving an idea, and you think, so my maternal uncle is a pilot, so I want to be a
Mhm.
pilot.
Mhm.
So my uncle is a doctor, so I want to be a doctor. So it should be that we have to find out that, like, the kid needs to understand that what I want to do in my own life, isn't it? You see, most of us, like, when we as parents who are educators, we always try to do one thing, that our kids should score well in the examination,
Mhm.
because
Right.
it will hamper my reputation as a school leader, or as a school teacher. So we have
Mhm.
to make sure that we refrain from doing all this with our own kids, because only then we will be able to preach it to the parents.
Right, right. But parental pressure is sometimes unconscious. Parents are not aware that they are actually pressurizing. They think that they're supporting their kids.
Right, right.
Unconsciously, they kind of like put that pressure. And,
Yes.
we see that in our one-to-one sessions. When we have one-to-one sessions with kids, when the parents are present, most of them kind of like don't open up,
Mhm.
just give them a little bit information and leave it. They don't talk much, they don't communicate. But when you get them separately without their parents, there are some sessions where it's only the student and the counselor who's talking. So that's the time they kind of like open up and say, yeah, I had this also in mind. I have an interest in becoming a pilot, but then my mom doesn't like it, or my dad says you can't really become a successful one, and that's why I didn't tell you in the beginning. So even with educated parents, we see this on a day-to-day basis, that parental pressure still exists. So it's
Right.
tough time for kids to actually like break free from that and take decisions on their own. I wish all the parents who are watching this podcast analyze themselves and see whether they are really consciously or unconsciously putting that pressure on their kids. Okay,
Right.
so thank you so much, sir, for sharing your valuable insights and experience with us. Hope all the
Thank you.
students, parents, and other school leaders who are watching this podcast understand where they are and what they are doing, and kind of like self-analyze and focus more on the holistic development of children. Okay, thank you
Definitely.
so much for valuable time today.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.